Good morning, everyone. We are so happy that you have made it. We are live on Facebook and as well as here on the radio. So this is F5 Recovery Radio here on KRFF 95.9 LP FM, Moorhead, Fargo. This is One Pretty Ricky, and I'm joined by my co-host, Kirsten Huovinen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So we're super happy that we're here and getting to, spend the time together. How was your week? How was your long weekend? Yeah.
Long weekend, yes. It was really busy. We drove a lot. We drove to South Dakota for a funeral.
Okay.
And then to my parents in Jamestown, and then my husband's parents at West Silent Lake. And my youngest turned 13.
Ooh,
and
yay.
So he's a teenager. Mm-hmm. And I guess I can't really... It went so fast. It feels like it was... I'm sure a lot of fun things happened. Oh, school started yesterday. Thank God. Not that I don't love every second with my kids, but I don't. Sometimes I want a break. Yeah. And so it's kind of nice. And then they leave, and then my husband comes down and talks to me, and I'm like, seriously?
Like, I just got rid of the kids.
For real. I just need you to not talk anymore. But Matt always has a great send-off to school. We live across the street from the school, literally across the street. And so the kids will be walking, and they'll get almost to where they're safe because they know this is coming. And then Matt will yell, "I love you, Sawyer!" And they're just like, "I want to die,"
no.
So we do that every year, too.
Oh.
Anyway, and we always take our back-to-school pic with the kids looking sad and us very excited. But we were one down this year because one's in college, and that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting to only have 4 in the house.
Mm-hmm. How is it? So now that, you guys are, evening out the odds. I mean, not quite even, but it's getting there.
Even on what?
Even the odds between the kids, number of kids.
Yeah,
and
now we're it's man-to-man now.
Yeah.
We were running a zone before, but now it's like
man-to-man defense.
Once you're outnumbered, I think you can have 18 kids. It just doesn't matter once you're outnumbered. But, and they always say, Charlie gets away with everything because he's the youngest. And I'm just like, yeah, he does. I'm tired. I don't know what I'm doing. And I'm probably going to wreck everything. But whatever. Right. I'm doing the best I can. What'd you do with your long weekend?
It was a good weekend. So on Saturday, so my wife's birthday is tomorrow. And so this past Saturday, my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, their 2 kids drove up from Nebraska. We kind of had a little small...
Smokes.
It was supposed to be a small family gathering, but then it kind of it just grew because then the neighbors came and then our other friends came. So then it kind of just became this
awesome.
party. And so I've had this thing since... I don't know what inspired me to do this, but many, many years ago, me and Justin first started dating. I was just look, I'm I've been married before, so I kind of got it out of the way. So I was like, all right. It's really, really stressful trying to figure out what we're doing for you every year, or meaning my ex-wife. So I'm which then means you. So I was like, this is what I'm going to do. For every 5 years, I will plan all your birthday celebrations, anything between years 1 through 4, 6 through 9, so on and so forth.
You're on your own.
On your own. You got to figure it out.
I'm not even going to remember?
Nope.
Oh.
I mean, I remember it. And there's another story about that.
Oh,
but
I'd probably murder you.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
So then I'm all right. So this is, I don't want to tell her age because I don't know if she's that person who's I don't know my age. But anyways, it's one of the 5th years that I was doing. So this is one of the birthday celebrations. And then she was like, I don't care, whatever you want to do. And then so I planned this really awesome garden party, and then I don't know if you remember, it was 96 degrees outside, so I was like, oh, we're gonna eat outside, we're gonna barbecue, we're gonna play lawn games, do all the outdoor things because that's very much her.
Yeah.
And it was hot as heck, and there was no shade, and it was just turned into a fun time.
Yeah.
Just of us just sitting, because it was just and then of course there was so many bees. Once you start bringing the meat out, all the bees start swarming because apparently bees are carnivores. And so there was all these bees. And then the kids are just trying not to freak out, trying to be cool, in front of uncle. And no, they were definitely freaking out. And I was freaking out because I'm the baby. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should have, why did I say this? And again, we've been together over 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, at least this one is done. And so we just brought all the kids inside, and we just all just went inside, and Jelssa's just stressing out. And so then it's just like making things even like more tense. And so I was just like, I just want this day to be done.
Yeah.
And so we just went home, and then we just like sat, and we were just like, okay, so how did your birthday go?
Yeah.
And then
How'd I do?
Yeah. And she was like, that was fun.
Did my attitude wreck it? Usually that's what happens. Or I create something to stress about when it's just fine. Everybody's having
and
a
she was
great
just
time.
so like, and so like, of course, baby's like eating like solid food, so he's just spilling everywhere, like just anything. So he's just dropping it. So she's constantly, pick that up. Don't stay in my mom's new car. Like she has this like new rug in the living room. We can't stay. I'm like, it's a car. Like she gets it.
Yeah.
Like the baby's been over. So just all these things of like trying to manage. Run things because that's what she does really, really well. But like this is one of the situations where like you don't have to do any of that. Just enjoy me planning your birthday.
And that's what couples usually fight about is stuff that doesn't matter at all.
Right. To the other person. It mattered really,
at
really
the
much
moment.
to Jelsa, but it did not matter to me. And I was like, it's fine. It's done.
That's
like,
probably why it's a bone of contention.
Yeah.
So you've been together 10 years and you've done 2 parties?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
3 now.
So is it flipped like, well, then once every 5 years I might feel like getting frisky maybe. You know what I mean? Can she do that?
No.
I will take out the garbage?
I will immediately, I will immediately shut that. If she even thinks she's going to try to plan something, I will shut it down.
Why?
Because it's like, this is like, she had 4 years to do it herself. It's like, this is my time.
Plan her own birthday.
I was like, whatever you want to do those other years, go for it. Not this year. And so, I have 2 more celebrations for her. So like her actual birthday's tomorrow. So we're going to.
Well, happy birthday.
Yeah. So do a little something for her. And then we're going to do like a bigger one. Just because I wanted to get her like her girlfriends together, but one of them is getting married. One of them just had a baby. Like a lot of them have just had very like awesome life things. So I'm not going to just kind of push it out to like October so things can kind of settle down.
Oh, that's very nice of you to do once every 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you do that every year?
Because it's too much.
Is it?
I'm just not. It's really not. Because I love birthdays. Like birthdays are my big things. Yeah. Because I'm like, if you weren't born, then I have one less friend, or so like it's a significant deal to me. But it was just like I'd rather just do one really, really big one, or like this year I'm just doing multiple because like her. Again, I want to tell her age, but so the one we did previously, I surprised her with this trip to Chicago. Mm-hmm. It was like a 24-hour Chicago trip, and we did this like VIP tickets for this concert to see Lauryn Hill, and like ate at the fancy restaurants and did all these things because she just at the time she was just loving Chicago. Yeah. So I was like, perfect, we're gonna go to Chicago. The year before that, I threw a secret like party downtown, or the one before, and so it was just like invited a bunch of her friends, had a live band, and I always try to
2 years in a row.
Or the previous time.
The previous 5th year. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You have some interesting rules about yourself and your things like. I would suggest doing that every year. Just saying. Yeah. But whatever, it's working for you. Yep. That's good. But I love birthdays. Yeah. I think they're great. If you're at my house and you have a birthday. We have birthday breakfast, which means in the middle of the night, I decorate. Yeah. I put out all these donuts. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because when I was little, we had to wait till the end of the day to get our present. Like, we had to, like, eat supper.
You had to go through your whole birthday.
Whole day. And then finally you get it, and then it's like, well, time for bed. And I'm like, what? This is so...
So if you got a sweet toy or something you wanted to play with, it doesn't matter. You're going to bed.
No, So I don't know if they were just like, I don't want to deal with this. So, or maybe they forgot till the end of the day. I don't know. But I want to wake up. I want them to wake up and get all the things. And then it just keeps going. Yeah. My husband's pretty good at birthdays, although he's kind of not. But he is so bad at remembering my birthday, remembering the date. He gets within a day or so. But that one time I called the bank and they said, can you just confirm your date of birth and your last name? And so I said, yeah, it's 9/18/77. And they go, nope. And I was like, what? How did I get my birthday wrong? Right. And then I I realized that my husband had set up this account. So then I said 9/17/77, and they were like, "Yep, that's it." I thought, "Oh my God, what do I?" Anyway, he always is a day off.
Which, I mean, I appreciate that he's doing that because, like, for very, very many years, me and Joseph were just started, like, probably the first 4, I think eventually she, like, kind of gave me an ultimatum, but I would constantly, like, this was, like, when Facebook was really big and everybody was using Facebook, so I would go on her Facebook wall and write, like, "Oh, happy birthday, baby, I love you so much," on the wrong day. So then people would just comment, and then she would get, so then it was, like, it was funny at first, and then the next year I did it. And then, like, she would get in text messages or people were sending her, like, Snapchat, like, "Oh, my God, happy birthday." Like, how did that? And then, like, her best friend was like, "How did that? I'm so sorry. I missed the date. Like, I'm just feeling terrible." And she was like, "No, this is the stupid thing that Ricky does, and it pisses me off." And I just thought it was so funny because I was just like, it's not even me. Because then I would just spin it around. Like, it's not my fault that people just assume that your boyfriend would have the correct date. It's on them. They should really know.
They should have.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I actually like that. I hope you keep doing that forever.
Yeah. So every once in a while, I just, like, sneakily just like give her a birthday card, like, too early, or just every once in a while just like give her flowers and, like, "Oh, happy birthday," and then she just, like, she's appreciative. So now I keep it closer to the date. Like, she's gonna get something today
within the week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way it's not, because again, like, she was like, "I will break up with you. You keep doing this, like, this will be your last birthday." And then I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I stopped for, about 6 years. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna bring it back.
She's pretty locked in now. I mean, you got a kid, so you can do it.
Like,
I would do it.
Like,
I would start
what's
again.
she gonna do?
Yeah.
She's gonna leave? No, she's not gonna leave.
Yeah.
For what? For me celebrating your wrong birthday? Like,
Yeah.
At least you're getting a celebration.
Yeah, that's a headache. That would be. It's way too much of a headache to leave now.
Yeah. So the 6 through 10, 6 through 9, those are the years I'll just screw it up. But I'm not going to screw up my year.
Oh my gosh! Every 5 years. Oh Lord. Anyway.
Yeah.
So my youngest turned 13, and that's interesting.
Yeah, teenagers. So.
And Adam's still in.
Yeah, Adam is still in Alaska. So those who have been following our show for a while, that's why he's been gone past 2 weeks. He's frolicking. I don't know. Do they frolic in Alaska?
I think they're fishing for the halibut.
Mm-hmm. I know. I saw that on Scott's Facebook.
That's so good.
Yeah. So they're just enjoying. He's doing a very, very intensive in-person training in Alaska. I forgot. He'll talk more about it at our next show and kind of share his experiences and all the things. And he's still alive. So I was like, he's going to Alaska. I don't know. I just thought the worst.
Oh,
but because
it's
Scott's there,
up there.
Yeah. But it's Adam though, so he's
Adam and the wilderness are.
Yeah.
I don't know. Different.
Yeah. One time, I won't tell his story, but one time he went out to the wilderness and
he
sent
tell.
us. Yeah. Oh well. I'll just tell the story. So he, as you know, in North Dakota, we have a lot of bison. Bison. I don't know. However you pronounce it. He went out to like the Roosevelt Park National Park and got way too close to and then proceeded to like send everybody a text a picture of like his sabbatical he was doing.
Smartest moment.
And we were everybody's freaking out, like, dude, get out of there. Like, the bison's going to charge you and probably kill you. I don't know if they charge.
And I'm not coming to get you.
Yeah, no, like, yep, you're on your own. Yeah. But like you can see, like, he probably propped the phone up on his car and then took a picture of him. But like, again, it was just like, you're way too close.
Yeah.
Like, I get what you're trying to be one with nature and trying to like really reconnect, but that's not the way to reconnect with nature.
No, I think to be one with nature is to respect that things can kill you. Yes. And then just stay away from those things.
Right.
I think that's nature,
Yeah, just weird. So, but so on this show, we always tackle different topics outside of our personal lives. Yeah. And today's topic we're going to be discussing is recovery groups. Groupie groups.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's always for those who've been following us for a while, or maybe this might be your first time listening, Kirsten and I and Adam as well have been through a wide variety of treatments and groups and other things. And so I want to kind of just talk about some of those and just some of the things we've learned and some things that have helped and some things that maybe didn't help. kind of get a little bit in that way. And really just the main kind of purpose before we even tackle it is just whatever you need, whatever is going to work for you, work it. Like, we're going to talk about a couple of different groups, but again, there's so many different groups out there that you can find that will help. And a lot of different people have different paths in their own recovery. And so I just want to encourage whatever it is. If it's not one of the ones we talk about, doesn't mean that, they didn't mention that on the show. Maybe it probably sucks. No, it has nothing to do with that. It's just that's what's worked for us. But everyone is different.
Not part of my wheelhouse. Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways to get sober. But I would be the one to challenge you and say, no matter what group you're going to, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not getting better.
Yes.
Whatever group you're starting, if it doesn't challenge some of those old beliefs and make you want to be a better person, it's probably still a trap house. Or you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's just like nobody is saying maybe you should try something different or... And usually for me, it was like the last ditch effort. I wanted to try literally everything else before going to meetings. And I don't know why, but it was the only thing that I didn't try. And really, that's what a lot of people that I've worked with, they get to this place where, why haven't you tried it?
Right.
And they don't have a good reason. But it is the only thing they have not tried yet. In however many number of treatments or whatever. And treatment was great. It was like a vacation. And it was good to connect with people. I think that was where I first talked with people that got me like that. And I think that's why you bond with those people in treatment so quickly. It's just like if you had anything else, if you had another progressive illness and you end up in the same room as them, you just get each other because the symptoms are the same. We have different details, like I was here, you were here, I did this, you did this. But at the core of it, it's the same. And I think that's when you can learn to forgive yourself and laugh at the dumb things that you did that like a lot of people don't think are funny, you tell some of these stories and they're like, that's awful. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Anyway. But I think that's where I started to feel like I wasn't alone, and it was, that was a big thing. And then of course I thought like, well, now I've been to treatment. I know it. I know what I'm supposed to do. I get it. They suggest these meetings and stuff like that, but I'm good because I'm smart and I pick up things quick, know, and I am. But in this area of my life, zero control. I am absolutely at the mercy of this illness. And so, so I just left, got really bored staying sober and then didn't, you know? So, and then went back and you know what I'm saying? And the groups that I've found that have been the most beneficial is 12-step recovery groups. And it's just like this camaraderie and these people that make me want to be a better person, that haven't just been like, well, now I'm sober, may as well just do nothing. Like, we were young when we got sober, so it was like we're out living life still. We were still doing all the things, except we were sober and we had like this direction, and it just felt like you were a part of something. And it was uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to be new. It's uncomfortable to do all of those things. Challenge your old beliefs. Be transparent. Just be willing to say like, I burned it down. You know what I mean? Or like, I stole your stuff and helped you look for it. Sorry about that. Right. And you know what I mean? So but those connections you make are lifesavers. And I have seen, and this is just my opinion, but I have seen many, 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 many people try to get and maintain recovery. And the most effective way I've seen it done is to be involved in a 12-step group. And that's just my opinion. I realize other people have other opinions, but that is the most freeing. You know, their soul is just free. Anyway, Anyway, you
Yeah.
yeah. What
get
is
it.
your experience?
And I think that's one of the things. So like my 12-step, I think a 12-step meeting was my first meeting, but then I went to treatment and then came back to my meetings. And so like I didn't really even get enough time. Like my first meeting was weird. It was like when they were like who you see here, what you see here, what you hear here, let it stay here.
Yeah.
That was like, what are we like, what are you guys about to talk about? Because like, and again, like I was uncomfortable. I was already uncomfortable because this is like my first, I just like I had just had a conversation with the cops. Like, so it was like a very quick, like, are they coming to get me? Like, are you guys gonna like wrap me? Like, I don't know. I was just like so like it was just a very uncomfortable feeling already of like, okay, I'm coming in, I'm trying to get clean, I'm trying to figure things out, and then you guys say that, and it's like, what? And I was like, okay, this is weird. And so then, but then like it was helpful because it afterwards everyone was like, hey, we're really glad you're here, keep coming back, it works. And I'm like, yeah, man, hitting them with a thumbs up. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I missed, like, I'm sure there was a lot of whoever was in that first meeting, I'm sure they said really, really powerful things, but I just couldn't hear it because I just was so uncomfortable and just in my feelings and just all these things. And so then I went to treatment, and which was great. So like treatment was like, it was good until like the family day. The family day sucked, but up until that point, it was like, all right, we're gonna dive into our feelings. But everyone was just so nice, and just was like, man, we're just really thankful you're here. And it was just like, oh, this is okay. I like treatment. But then it was like day 22, day 23, and I'm like, all right, it's a week from now. Like, Ricky, what's your plan? And I was like, I can't stay here forever.
Yeah, for real. I
was like, this is great. Like,
the heat's off when you're there.
Yeah.
Nobody expects anything of you.
No, and I didn't have my phone, so I had like no distractions.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like a lot of like really, really good. Yeah, like it was great.
That's how long ago that was. Yeah. Anyway.
So it was just, but it was cool because I was like, all right. So then like going back, and I was like, then I was panicky. Then I was like, I need something else. And they were like, all right, we'll do aftercare. And I was like, well, aftercare was great, but then it was like an hour on a Tuesday, or it was like 2 hours on a Tuesday, and then like an hour and a half on a Thursday. So, but then I was like, well, what do I do? Monday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And they were like, go to meetings. And I was like, but those meetings are weird. And again, they were just like, you want me to go back to this weird thing that I did?
1,000 reasons why I'm not going to go.
And just all these things. And so then I was like, no, I don't want to do meetings. So then I decided to go, and I was like, I'm going to get a therapist. So I was like, all right, cool. But then I was like, oh, therapy's only an hour. And so then thankfully I was able to do it like every week. But then I was like, well, what do I do the other 23 hours today? Yeah. They were like, every time they just kept saying go to meetings. But they never said what those meetings were. Right. It was always they just go to meeting. And I was like, stop telling me that. And so then I'm getting frustrated. Like, I don't want to go to meetings because I'm like, everyone keeps telling me that I need to go to meetings, and I like, obviously I knew what they were talking about, but I'm like, what if I don't like this meeting? So then I went to a SMART meeting and it was at MSUM, my old alma mater, and I was like, that was it was like that, like connected with my brain a lot better. But then I was so distracted because I hadn't been around all different types of people who were clean. So like there was people who were clean from drugs, there was people clean from gambling, there was a guy who was a former sex addict. And so like all these different people were getting clean from different things all in one room. And so now they're all, part of it is like sharing stories and things. And I'm like, and I'm just fascinated. Yeah. Now I'm just like, tell me more about
stories.
I
know.
Like, you did that? Okay, and then it's like, and then I'm completely missing, obviously, if you're, I'm missing the point clearly, but I'm like, oh, I like this meeting because I'm like, these people are crazy. Like, oh my gosh, this is, and then, so then I'm not connecting at all. So I'm not getting any sort of benefit other than just going for the drama, which again, completely not the way to, trying to be
but
clean.
whatever your reason to go.
And so then, but then that's what kept me going. And so then eventually they were like, okay, I was like, so I went back to GA, and so I was like, okay, let me like really, really give this a really good go. And so then, because at the time, between SMART meetings, I was going to the clubhouse and I was going to GA, but they only had them, at the time it was, it was Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And so I would go to the Monday meeting, and then it was like, oh, and there's so much time before Thursday. So then I would go to the clubhouse because they had like a great nooner, and they just had like, there was just a bunch of like old guys who were just like super, like they were tough, but like nice.
Yeah.
It was a really weird, like, but that's where I got my, like, so I got an AA sponsor before I got a GA sponsor because I was just like, you have to help me. And then he was like, no, I don't. And so like, it just kind of like helped put perspectives on what meetings are for and what's supposed to happen. And so then it was like, but like, it gave me a better direction of like, this is what recovery looks like, because I just was so lost because I was getting answers about myself from the therapy. I was getting answers about like my life from like the aftercare groups, but like it was in the AA and GA meetings where I got to like really figure out me and really tackle a lot of the things that I was going through and really trying to help me put in perspective on like how to work on these things. And so then I knew how to better communicate with Jelsa, better communicate with my parents, and better communicate with other people, because no one was really like, I mean, they were trying, but I just couldn't, I wasn't like hitting home.
Yeah. And this isn't not an illness where me focusing on me is going to benefit me.
Right.
Like, you know, I think that's why it's been shown that therapy is good, but it doesn't fix the whole picture. And like all of those, like, treatment's good, but after a while I have to go out and I don't get to have a constant break. I need to go start taking care of some of the things that I've burned down, some of the money I owe, some of, you know what I mean? Like maybe get a job, just start at the basics. And you bring up a good point. I've heard numerous, if I had a nickel, right? For every time, like, meetings are not my thing. Meetings are not my thing. I would say you have not tried them, honestly tried them. Right. And B, even if they're not your thing, we're so black and white. Like, if I say, well, that's not my thing, so I'm taking all of those meetings out. I'm not going to any. But let's be realistic. Like, even if they're not your thing, they're a stepping stone to at least meet some other sober people in the community. Right. Yep. You don't have to go forever. This isn't like a written commitment. You do, you know what I mean? Do it how you do it. But I think realistically, there's not really a whole lot of places to meet other sober people in the area other than that's where people congregate. Like, if you wanted to meet people that were you know, I don't know, like wanting to learn about God, you'd probably go to a church to meet some of those people. Right. It doesn't mean they're not out. You can't meet them somewhere else, but that's a pretty good guess that they're going to be there. Yep. But, you know, I would just say, like, why are you so against it? You know what I mean? Like, what could possibly go wrong? If you had some other illness, any other illness really, and you told someone suffering from it, listen, if you go to a couple of these meetings a week, you're going to be pretty all right. Right. You couldn't make places to hold people. Right. They would be so huge. But for us, we're like, life or death. I don't know.
Is it that serious?
I know. Yeah. And I went for all the wrong reasons. I found a boy, and so I was stalking him in a very subtle way. And I had to have a court card signed, and that's why I started going. Yep. But I kept going because it worked. And I had someone when I first got sober said, give it 3 months. Put everything into it for 3 months. If somebody asks you to go to coffee, say yes. If somebody asks you to chair a meeting, say yes. Whatever, just be a part of it for 3 months. And if your life doesn't get better, they always say, we'll refund your misery, which is so true. You know what I mean? And like the drug market's going to take a hit, you know, but it'll still be there when I want to go back. Right. And just, I don't know why I got to stay and so many didn't, but anyway.
Well, I think that's one of the hard parts with recovery groups. Unfortunately, like a lot of people have opinions about it. They have, especially a lot of people who aren't sober or who don't identify one way or another, have a ton of opinions. You can go on any sort of forum you want, a Reddit, a Google, or anything. There's people up and down who have opinions about this thing. Again, whatever meeting, about about anonymous meetings, about smart meetings, about treatment, about anything recovery related. People have so many different opinions about it. And when you're constantly hearing negative opinions, so unfortunately, most of these opinions from people who are doing it are positive. Most people who either tried it and didn't work for them are so staunch on like, this didn't work for me.
Okay, well, tell us what did work.
Right.
I just think anybody that puts that much energy into hating something is unhealthy in the first place. Because if something works a little bit for somebody, oh my gosh, you do it. You know what I mean? Why would you not be supportive of that instead of like lighting everything up like the whole world should know that it's a cult? But it's not a cult because people do what they're told in a cult and people don't do what they're told in meetings. You know?
No, I got told plenty of things to do I didn't do. So.
It's kind of a pyramid scheme, really. Like I'm gonna start here in this treatment center. And if I do good, I could potentially run this treatment center. You know what I mean?
Well, here's a good question that we have on Facebook. So thank you. This is from Dallas Jorgensen. He says, any advice on when I go to meetings, I feel like the black sheep in a room full of white sheeps?
Well, I think we're all shades of gray. Yep. And Dallas, I like Dallas. He's fun. And that's just like... I think for myself, when I go in and start comparing the differences, looking for the differences, I will find them every time. Yep. If it's just like saying, don't see the color green. Like, well, now that's all I see, you know? Right. But if I go into it thinking, how can I help someone else? And how do I relate to these people on like an emotional level? I need to go spend more time with them, I guess, if I'm not relating. I need to go out to coffee. I need to work with my sponsor. I need to figure out what is it in me that keeps telling me this is not, that I'm so set apart, you know? Because it never has anything to do with the other people. Right. I'm always like, this meeting is crap. They're cliquey, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Well, cliques are just like people that know each other already and you don't know them yet. So just go ask them. But it's never them. It's always me and my insecurities. And so I just know that I need to work on those things. And I need to go in there not thinking, what can I get? Because I'm always like, well, they didn't help me. You know what I mean? Like, well, okay, enough about you. You, go be helpful. That's what my sponsor always suggests. Why don't you just go be helpful? I'm like, well, that sounds horribly simple.
You're dumb.
But I have problems. I have real problems.
Right. Yeah.
I feel insecure, and I don't think I'm enough. And
right.
Do you think I'm fat? And oh, my God, on and on. Yeah.
Yep. And I think for me, like, for my response, again, great question, Dallas. I think for one of the perspectives that I had, just because I went to so many and I tried so many different ones, I just kept going to different ones to just try to find the one. Yeah. So, and I still go to AA meetings, and I still go to recovery groups or smart meetings, and I still just go to different things because for me, I know outside of obviously my race, I know I'm different than when I go in a lot of these different places. But for me, like I am gravitating towards, I need to see a different perspective. Right. So like I need to be able to hear from other people who don't maybe necessarily always identify exactly with my thing to be able to get something that'll be like, man, I never thought of it from that perspective. Right. So when I go to AA groups and they're talking about, just all whatever different life things, it may not necessarily be, it's probably the alcohol that pushed them there, but what they're experiencing and what they've gone through may be something that I'm not going to hear in my GA group, especially because not always, but typically I'm more on the younger end of the spectrum. Yeah. In my greater GA group, there's a lot more people that are a lot older. Right. So a lot of the things that they're experiencing, things that they're going through now, I'm not there yet. I will get there. Sure. So then sometimes they're talking about, their grown kids, or they're talking about a lot of different things that they're struggling with that I'm not connecting with. Yeah. And so then I can go to like an AA group, or I can go to an NA group where they're either my age or younger. And then it's like, oh, I'm exactly understanding what they're experiencing and what they're going through. And then I'm connecting better with them. Yeah. And then it helps me because like, all right, cool. This is exactly what I needed to like get through this hump of this young thing in parenting
Yeah.
where I needed to get through this hump of like really being disappointed that I can't go out and party the way
Yeah.
I used to. And so like being around people who party the way I used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
is like really cool to like, but not, not high-fiving people on their
No, but they're
bad
still having
stories,
fun.
but like,
yeah.
but to be able to see like campouts and other things that like
Mm-hmm.
those groups are doing that maybe my home group
Right.
aren't doing,
Yeah.
but it's like, but that's what I needed.
Yeah.
I needed to be able to see that
Yeah.
perspective.
And it just is proof that addiction has so little to do with whatever chemical you're using as medication or
Right.
gambling or whatever that medication is, but to further develop your spiritual, the gross parts where you have to like go make amends and be a good person and actually do the right thing when nobody's looking and that gross stuff.
Yep.
Like that's the stuff that leads to relapse and all of that stuff, like those little resentments and all of those things. And I've never, I always love when people are like, well, I'm addicted to it. I'm like, well, to what? And they're like, going to the gym. And I thought, oh that's cute. But like, have you ever missed 3 days of work because you are busy
Didn't go
doing
to the gym?
squats?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or did you ever have to go to a different gym because you owe your other gym $40? I don't think so. Anyway, it's just very
That's pretty
different.
good. I'm gonna have to when somebody says I'm definitely gonna
Yeah.
use that. My friend Kirsten
Like,
told me
oh,
this.
that's cute.
Yeah.
That's cute. Or they're like, oh, I don't. Or they say, or like they offer you a drink, and I say, I don't drink, and they're like, well, why? I mean, no, with nothing else do you say that? Like,
Yeah.
I don't eat cookies. Well, why? Nobody
Right.
asked that.
Yeah.
They're like, was it okay if I drink? And I'm like, why is this an issue? And then they explained to me, well, I only drink a little bit on the weekends. I'm like, I still don't care. I just like, if it's a problem, I'll talk to you. If not, let's just do this. Jeez.
Oh, gosh.
I used to make you. Yeah. We can still have a good time, I promise.
Oh, that's awesome. And so Laura Headland said, I think no matter what a person struggles with, the feeling we are trying to escape is often similar no matter what outlet, drugs, sex, gambling, alcohol, etc., we are choosing to use as escape. Yeah, that's true.
True
We're
story.
just trying to do that. So with this, if you're just tuning in, this is KRFF 95.9 LPFM. This is F5 Recovery Radio. I want to thank you all again so much for being here. I truly appreciate you. And we especially want to thank Flatland Guitar for underwriting programming here on KRFF. Flatland Guitar in Lutherie is your full-service guitar shop and exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul Reed Smith guitars, and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment, they take trade-ins, and they have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar in Lutherie on Facebook, or you can visit them in person at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 5, and closed on Sundays.
Bummer. That's what I was going.
That's the one time I want to go get my guitar looked at on that Sunday.
My dad taught himself how to play guitar in his 70s. Yeah. And he's like really good.
Your dad is really cool.
And he sings and all that stuff. And I thought, well, I could do it. Because I just really exist between bursts of reform. I always have this new thing that's going to save me. Anyway, so I'm like, I'm going to teach myself guitar. Anyway, my fingers hurt at the end of the day. So I was like, well, that sucks. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so if there was a way to have like little finger rubbers or something.
Little dexterity things. Yep.
Sure.
Like, I can't do
Sure
it.
they exist.
Yeah, so today's topic, again, we're talking about recovery groups on our show. And so I think one question I wanted to kind of just tackle is, as people are trying to find, what was one way that you found, your groups, like found treatment? Like, how did you make that hump? So I'm specifically thinking of the people who maybe are like, oh, I don't even know, because my mom had to help me. Like my mom had to help me find groups or figure out the clubhouse or like, which again now it's like, wow, it's just right there. But like, I didn't know that then.
Yeah.
Like, how did you like find your way there?
Well, I mean, literally it's an address, but it is so hard to go alone.
Yep.
It is so hard to get to those first few meetings. And I don't know. I was like, initially I thought, well, I don't want anybody to know that like I'm an addict or something.
Right. Yep.
They're like, oh, they know. Don't worry about it. It's, you know what I mean? You're not hiding anything. So why don't you share this good part with people? If they see you going to a meeting, that's a way better rumor than what they saw you coming out of last week, you know? So anyway, but now you can look online. I guess when I started going to meetings, the judge told me where the meetings were. So that was nice. But, we didn't have online then. So it was like in the phone book, I suppose. If anybody knows what those were. Oh, my God. Okay. So, but yeah, those first few meetings, that is where I watch people fall so many times. It's so disheartening because they have a plan to go.
Yep.
And then they put it off one day and put it off another day and another day. And it just gets harder and harder and harder. And pretty soon they tell themselves, well, those meetings are crap anyway. I don't want to go. Just so they have a reason to have not gone. But it is so uncomfortable. It's painful almost, but it is like life or death. And I would have walked into any room to get high or loaded. You know what I mean? Yep. And that might have been uncomfortable too, but I did not care one bit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yep. I would have walked in there clothed, not clothed. It did not matter. It did not matter.
Yep.
So I just have to apply the same willingness to meetings. But that is the one most disheartening part about watching people in recovery is that step after, especially when I was working in a halfway house, it's that step after the halfway house into the meetings does not get, it just doesn't connect. Yep. And then they are back 3 months later or whatever. Yep. Anyway, it's super heartbreaking. So if you can find somebody to go with, anything that makes it easier, just go, you know, just go. And once you're there, people will know you're new. Hopefully they'll introduce themselves. Yep. If they don't, go to another meeting. Right. Like you were saying, just keep going until you connect with people. And then I think they would invite me to do things and I didn't have anything else to do, so I would just go hang out. And pretty soon I'm living at this house in Jamestown because I got sober in Jamestown, and there were these like 4 guys that lived in this one house, and they were all in recovery. And so I just hung out there all the time. I'm sure they just were so annoyed with me. But I had nothing else. I had nowhere else to go. Yep. I didn't know what to do. And oh my gosh, we had so much fun. It really was so fun. But I just found people that were fun. You know what I mean? I didn't make it real difficult or look for some magic bullet like, oh, there's got to be the perfect meeting and the perfect sponsor and whatever. That's not real. That just isn't out there. So it is what you make it, I guess. But
yeah, and I think that was one thing that, like, after I went to my first GA meeting and then they told me, or then my mom was like, then go to the clubhouse. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. But then I just stayed at the clubhouse. Yeah. Because I was like, Joseph was gone. You know, this was obviously before our kids. So, like, it was like, not that I didn't have anything else to do. I had no one else.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else that I had was just, like, phone calls. And the people that I probably could see, I was too ashamed to see.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, facing the paper.
I know.
So it's like, I don't want, like, I was just, like, completely, like, reserved and, like, I went from being a very obviously big extrovert to a supreme introvert. Yeah. So then I was like, I don't want to like really necessarily even talk to anybody, which was like kind of great because like I don't know what happened, like how they like just read it on me, but like I was just like, I just didn't want to talk. And so it was like nice that people were like, hey, thank you, like glad you're here. But that was it. They didn't like carry on a conversation because if anyone would have like tried to befriend me, I'd have been like, nope, I'm out, and I would have left. Weird. And then I would have been like, I'm out of here. But they were like, no, like, and so I just kind of stayed on the couch, and then I would go upstairs to one of their meetings, and then I would go back to the couch.
Yeah.
And then I would go to a different room upstairs, and then I would go back to the couch, and then it was like the noon meeting, and then it was like packed. So then it like you had to like go out of the main room to like all the like little breakout rooms, if you will. And so then I would just kept going to different couches, but it was just like I just kind of just stayed, and then eventually I heard more and more stories, and then I didn't, because I never shared, because I was like, no, like, what do I need to share? Like, God, you just read in the freaking paper, like, you know why I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those, like, I didn't need to, like, I didn't want to talk about it because I'm like, it's already been told for me
so many times.
So then eventually I was like, okay, I need to say something. I do want to contribute a little bit. I was like, I'm feeling bad. Like I'm just constantly here drinking all this coffee. So I was like, well, let me give some money. So then I gave $1, and then I was like, well, maybe I can just say more than my name.
Yeah.
So then I just kept like just doing a little bit more. So I think for those who were kind of like, once you find it, it's, they're everywhere. Like once you Google it, you can find meetings, any kind of meeting you want. They're out there.
Yeah.
Then it's just showing up. But then there's no expectations.
No.
Like no matter what you've heard, what people have told you, like there's really no expectations other than just show up.
Just be there. And
then treat it however makes sense for you.
Yeah.
So for me, I just never left. And so that made sense for me. I was like, I'm here now.
But you got to watch. You got to watch people like practice what they preach, show up, actually be a part of something.
Yeah. And then I saw a guy come to a meeting drunk.
Yeah.
And like that completely, and just seeing how people like you can definitely tell they know like this is like his thing.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of like, the Adam of, I'm just kidding. But it was like, but he came in and like, no one shamed him.
No.
And like, it was just kind of like, we're just glad you're here. And like, everyone was like patting on him and like, man, we're glad you showed up and this and that. And I'm like, if they can do this for this drunk guy, I'm like, dude, you just came to a sober meeting drunk. What the hell? And my mind is just blown. Because again, I'm 3 days into like, in the recovery. And so I'm like, this completely, it was like, okay, this is the kind of perspective that I needed to have, is that like, no matter how many times I'm in the paper, nothing. Like it truly like does not matter. We're just really thankful that you're here. And so I'm like, if that guy can do that, then I probably can be okay to just come back. And it was just like, and I kept, and ever since then I've been coming back. But
you just kept going even though it was uncomfortable.
Oh, it sucked. It was not fun.
The couch.
Yeah.
And that was probably after they took smoking out of the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it used to be a haze, like a blue haze. You didn't even need to light a cigarette because you were already smoking just by being by the building.
Yeah.
Anyway, but don't shoot your wounded. I remember, somebody will come up to you and say, I think that guy's been drinking. I'm like, well, where else should he go? Like, that's kind of the idea here.
Right. Yeah.
If it ever gets weird and somebody gets belligerent, I mean, all of these things, I've seen all of these things, then someone is just kind enough to go hang out with them on a one-on-one instead of just being like, get the heck out, because that is not the purpose, but, and the more I obsess about myself, like sitting on that couch thinking, I wonder if they like me. Do I look stupid?
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I make everything awkward. It's a gift. Yep. So, the more I'll see somebody come in that's new and just say, hey, the coffee's actually over here if you're looking for it. And suddenly I'm a part of. Right. Because it's just magic. It's the weirdest, most nonsensical. Anyway.
Yeah, that was my favorite. That part was cool. So for those who are like weirded about like, should I go? Like go. And if you keep going, eventually you won't be the new person.
Yeah.
Eventually, like, I mean, it took a little bit, but then eventually I wasn't the new guy to GA.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was able to help them. Like, hey, I've been coming here 2 weeks now, 3 weeks, whatever it was. And then like, it was really cool to be able to like, hey, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even realize I said we do. I'm like, I'm a part of them now.
Crap,
I'm in the crew. Like, just like, does this mean I'm inducted? Like, I was just like one of those like very silly, and people were like,
do I get an award or something? Like I went to work all 5 days in a row.
Like, no joke, one of my, his name is Randy. He was like, well, you've been a part of it since you got your keychain. And I was like, oh, like, okay, the keychain, and then like all of a sudden, then all just like made sense, and I was like, "Thank you, Randy," like that completely, because I was just like, oh, everybody gets these keychains, but not realizing like, everybody gets the keychains because we're trying to like, we're in the crew, right? Yeah. I was like, since you got your first keychain, I was like, you got a keychain. I'm like, are you just rubbing it in that I can't drive or what? I was like, what am I supposed to do this? Like, I could take the bus.
Hook this on my bus ticket. I don't know. Yeah.
But it was one of the few things that I owned, or eventually I had to start selling a whole lot of things to pay back a whole lot of money. So it was like, not going to sell this.
I know.
Probably can't sell
and
it.
You're proud of it.
Yeah.
And you're proud of it.
Oh, yeah.
And there's horrible places where they let you cash in your recovery chips for drinks. I just think that is like a scorn. That's one of those guys who's like, it never worked for me. It's terrible. Now I own a bar and kick my dog, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, geez, quit being so miserable. Or why make somebody's life harder?
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, just being there and being a part of something was enough, I guess, then. And I guess just time just accumulates. And pretty soon you've been around for 20 years and you're like, holy crap, I am still as much of a mess as I was when I got here. Good grief. Which is why meetings are so helpful. And I always leave feeling better if I'm not doing the how I don't relate or why these people are dumb. Or, I mean, I can get going on whatever in my head. But yeah, that has, in my entire career, truthfully, it has been what has been the make it or break it for people, for people looking for recovery. Without it, it is lonely and a struggle, and there's no accountability. And I don't know about you, but I got a shady streak in me that is just like, I kind of love it. But left to my own devices, if nobody's there to say like, oh, now your time starts over, or maybe you shouldn't do that. Right. Who's going to know? Who's going to know? What's the use anyway? I'm miserable anyway. I may as well just drink. Yeah. And I will burn it down because I will start with a good intention of just tonight. It'll be fine. Nobody will know. No one will know. Yeah.
No, they'll know. Yeah.
They will know. They will know. Yeah. Especially when it's in the paper.
Right. Sure. I was like, oh, they know. Weird.
Didn't get away with that. Oh, that's my name.
Yeah. That's sweet. Ooh, that's a good photo. No. Oh, yeah. Well, we thank you again so much for just being here on our show, F5 Recovery Radio. We're just super happy. This is One Pretty Ricky and Kirsten Huovinen. We've got a couple more minutes. Anything more you want to share or kind of close with? And
I don't know. Just like if you're not uncomfortable, you're not getting better.
Yeah.
And there's so many things, all the questions you have about all the details in your life. Like how do I deal with like this relationship or these bills or all of this? Because it's so overwhelming when you get out of treatment. You have all of this stuff to deal with all of a sudden. But just stay sober, because without that, you're not going to deal with any of that. In fact, you're going to make it worse and feel more disappointed. But just deal with this for right now. All of that stuff will work itself out. I swear, if you're able to stay sober, you can't fix anything today anyway. So worrying about it is just, but, and I think my husband and I, we use our full name. I think there is like the anonymous thing. People are weirded out about that, but I don't want to be so anonymous I'm not helpful, and truthfully, it's anonymous at the level of press, radio, and films, which I guess this is radio, but you want people to be able to get a hold of you. You don't want to be so like, well, no one can know I go to AA, but they knew you went to the bar, so
right, they can know this too. Absolutely. Well, good. And so again, if you do know us and you do follow along on Facebook or however you get in contact with us, please let us know. We'd love to be able to stay connected. Please subscribe to F5 Project on Spotify, on Facebook, and just continue to support this amazing show. And get a hold of us. If you have any more questions about recovery groups, about our journey, we shared as much as we can in an hour, but we just really want to make sure that you guys get there and get the help you need. Thank you again so much, Kirsten. I always appreciate spending this time.
Yeah, ditto.
Be able to have this time. And thank you all for listening. Have a great day in recovery.